All right. Uh, I'm making this video to discuss the Second Amendment. Um, I've been talking to quite a few people about guns and the laws, uh, constitutionality of gun laws, gun control, and somebody brought up the wording of the Second Amendment, and they called it ambiguous. Like for some reason they don't understand the wording or the meaning of the Second Amendment. the The Second Amendment is not ambiguous at all. Matter of fact, it's pretty well stated. It reads, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." Breaking it down, what it means, the well-regulated militia was just everybody. I mean, it was any able-bodied person. The people made up the militia. It was a militia of people, period. It's our job to protect what we have. We have since made governments. We have state governments. We have, federal governments, and they have created standing armies. The federal government has created militaries that are meant to protect this country as a whole. But at the end of the day, the people are I don't know what you want to call it, the quote unquote owners of this country. The people run this country. And no matter how you look at it, we're still a militia. Any able-bodied man and woman is the militia. So a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, in other words, being necessary to keep us all free from tyranny, oppression, an out-of-control government. This was all what the Second Amendment was written for. It wasn't written, for people to be able to keep guns to protect themselves in their homes, or from, to go hunting, or any of this kind of stuff. It has nothing to do with that. It was necessary for the security of a free state. So in order to keep this country free and not oppressed and not living under tyranny, everybody are, reserved. Everybody has the right to keep and bear arms, and it shall not be infringed. I'm going down. I wrote something in one of these posts, and I'm going down through here reading it, trying to keep this on track. When they wrote this, they had already been living under tyranny. They had already been living under the rule of England, and as far as they were concerned, they didn't ever want that to happen again. So somebody asked me, because I made the statement, and many people do, that the Second Amendment doesn't say, it doesn't mention AR-15s. Well, it also doesn't mention muskets. It doesn't mention cannons. It doesn't mention any kind of specific guns or weapons. It just says arms. To keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. If you look up the definition of arms, it reads weapons and ammunition, armaments. Synonyms are weapons, weaponry, firearms, guns, ordnance, artillery, armaments, munitions. All this falls under the definition of arms. So basically, it's saying anything that shoots. A tank has a gun on it. So yes, should we be able to own tanks? Yes, we should be able to own tanks. I think if you can afford it, you ought to be able to own a battleship. I think you ought to be able to own whatever the government has access to. The people should have access to. Now, do I think a person should have a nuclear submarine in their garage or nukes or anything like that? And I'm not really. I don't agree with that. But on the other hand, I don't think there should be any limitation put on the people. I think there should be things put into place to make sure that, the people around them are still safe. I mean, even the government has nukes, but they don't just, carry them around in their pocket. Though there are a lot of safety precautions put into place to have something that dangerous around anybody. So it's not like I'm sitting here saying we need to have nukes in a garage, but I am saying there are no limitations written into the Second Amendment. It doesn't say, it says without infringement, no infringement. Okay, and if you look up infringe, the definition is act so as to limit or undermine, encroach on. The synonyms are restrict, limit, curb, check. Okay, all of these synonyms are basically what gun control does. They restrict and limit your access to guns and accessories and things that have to do with your guns, your arms. So I don't understand why people have a problem understanding this. We have a society right now that has a problem understanding what bathroom to go in. So, I mean, I guess I get why they would also have a problem making sense of this. But the truth is, this is very well stated, and it's very clear that the people should be allowed to have their guns. They should be allowed to have their arms, period. If the government has it, we should have it. And it doesn't put any limitations in there. For people to keep bringing up the argument that, well, back then they had no idea that we were going to have AR-15s. They had no idea that we were going to have this and we were going to have that. It doesn't matter. In the time that this was written, they knew that there were things that the other side is going to have, and as far as they're concerned, they should not. Why would you let your government, if that's the one you're meant to defend yourself from? And I'm sure this had to be their way of thinking, because it only makes sense. If you're going to protect yourself from a government, why would you allow the government to have something that you don't have access to? Why would you limit yourself and not be able to defend yourself from somebody by giving them more resources than you have? That doesn't make any sense at all. People keep bringing up this. It was a different time back then. It doesn't matter. The way of thinking is still the same. The people need to be able to protect themselves from the government. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting notifications. Anyway, paraphrasing for clarification, since it's necessary for people to be able to defend themselves and keep the state free from tyranny and oppression, or their own government, the right to keep and carry weapons will not be limited or restricted. That's basically what the Second Amendment says. So your argument, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Your argument is just wrong. We as a people should be able to keep and bear arms to protect ourselves from a potential threat from our own government. That's what the Second Amendment is for. That's what it says. There is no misunderstanding. There is no ambiguity. It's plain and simple to me. So leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. I appreciate you watching.